Two people in the waiting room too.
You can start though, because Kate said she was gonna be late.
Late anyway.
Jim and Susan are coming.
Right. All right. Call the meeting to order at 6:30. Please rise and we'll state the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call.
Spangler here.
Crave here.
Cummings here.
Schneider here, and Ms. Lewandowski will be running minutes late. Ms. Kwame and Mr. Setz will not be in attendance. I've got a verbal verification of the proper meeting notices were posted. Brings us to
We did
the,
have our posting on Friday in our normal places.
okay. Brings us to the action of the agenda. We will look to modify the agenda. We're gonna look to remove a new business, item J. And we will pull the closed session for this evening and look to schedule that as a special session when we have all board members present. Are there any other alterations, additions, subtractions to the agenda?
There are none.
Move to approve. Cummings was second.
Okay, we got a motion by Ms. Stangler, seconded by Ms. Cummings, to approve the agenda with the correction, removal of item J. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on a 4-0 vote. Brings us to the minutes from the regular board meeting Monday, October 10th, 2022. Any corrections or items of note on said minutes?
I so move for approval.
Cummings was second.
Okay, we get a motion by Mr. Crave, seconded by Ms. Cummings to approve as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries on a 4-0 vote. Brings us to the action of the minutes from the curriculum committee meeting from Monday, October 17th.
Cummings will make a motion to approve the curriculum committee meeting on October 17th.
Got a motion by Ms. Cummings to approve the minutes as presented.
Can you second if you weren't there?
Yeah, so even though you weren't technically there, you can still approve the minutes, and since there's only a quorum of the board here, we would need all of you to vote on it, so,
I knew that we could vote on it, I didn't know we could.
yeah. Yeah, you can. You're still, reviewing it for, correct postings and accuracy and whatnot. Obviously, you're leaning on the people that were there to look through the material closest, but
Okay, so you still need a second?
Yes, I
A
do.
second.
Okay. So we've got a motion by Ms. Cummings, seconded by Ms. Stangler to approve as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on a 4-0 vote. Brings us to the minutes from the regular tax levy meeting, Monday, October 24th.
I'll move to approve.
Cummings was second.
Okay, a motion by Ms. Stangler, seconded by Ms. Cummings to approve as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on a 4-0 vote. Brings us to board reports.
Maddie Webster is here.
We have a student representative to report to the board this evening. Miss Maddie Webster, you have the floor.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Madeline Webster. I'm a senior at Waterloo High School. Thank you for having me talk this evening. I want to provide a few updates from the high school. First up, we recently had our Veterans Day assembly last Friday in the old school gym. Thank you to all the veterans that are currently serving and serve for our country. We had a guest speaker, Yvonne Dusterhoff, who gave an inspirational speech and taught us about what it really means to be a veteran. This year, Ms. Holden started the Silver Cord program in our school, which motivates students to volunteer as they can earn a silver cord to wear at graduation after completing 20 or more hours of volunteer service. This past week, students helped rake leaves around the community for those who may be unable to do so themselves or just needed some extra help. We look forward to finding ways to get more involved within the community. We plan to possibly do a similar volunteer opportunity in the winter, this time shoveling snow. Please contact the high school if anyone is in need of volunteers or knows of any volunteer opportunities. We recently just wrapped up our fall seasons of sports and activities. Football, trap shooting, volleyball, and cross country all had an impressive season, and we even had many student athletes get recognized for all conference honors, which is really amazing. With that being said, we are very excited that the winter season is here. Girls basketball started last Monday. There was a scrimmage this past weekend. Boys basketball started today with a 5:15 a.m. practice, following with the team breakfast. Wrestling starts today with a practice after school. All the sports teams representatives have been working together in the Pirate Athletic Leadership monthly meetings to help make Waterloo athletics the best they can be. We have big displays of the Alexander Hamilton in our lobby area. We are learning about him in our history classes. Feel free to take a look at them after the meeting or anytime within the next 2 weeks. We have a blood drive ran by the Waterloo Student Council this Friday, November 18th in the Fieldhouse on Court 3. You can sign up to donate blood, otherwise walk-ins are welcome. We look forward to seeing you there. And overall, the Waterloo students have been keeping busy as first term just finished up, and we are starting off the new term strong with new activities and opportunities to get more involved in our community. We're all very excited to work hard and represent Waterloo. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Webster?
No, I really wish I would have seen the leaf pickup because I just did mine today, and I would have definitely had someone over there doing mine. Never again. But it sounds all amazing. Thank you for the update. Sometimes we don't see all or hear all of those, so it's fantastic.
Yes, thank you for the comprehensive update. And you're free to leave if you'd like.
Thank you.
I'm home.
Yep.
You can stay.
That'll bring us to administrative reports. First on the list is Mr. Bartelt in regards to silver cords for graduation. Mr. Bartelt, you have the floor.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. I know Mandy just talked about this a little bit. First off, thank you, Mandy, for providing that. I know she just walked out. She did an awesome job presenting tonight. So her and Cal Hush will be presenting at but I just want to elaborate a little bit more on our silver cord program that we started this year. The credit goes to Rachel Holden. She presented the idea to me about a month ago, and our focus is helping out the community as much as we can and finding ways more than just getting our NHS students out and about. That's a requirement as part of NHS, so we want to open it up to all students. How can we get out in the community and help out more? So the Silver Cord program, I believe you all have the pamphlets in front of you. We have these available in our office, and Ms. Golden does as well. It kind of explains what we're looking for. So we're looking for opportunities out in the community for a community events, take up, set down events, Special Olympics, hospitals, anything that students can help out at, something that they're not getting paid with. So it has to be a true volunteer hours. And we are looking just to help out at all. I know we did send, I think, just to high school, but breaking leaves, as she said, this past weekend. It sounds like we can even communicate a little bit more to our community, maybe put some flyers up around the community how we can help. Send all district emails if there's some volunteers. We got some snow is expected, I'm hearing, tomorrow. So if we need some shoveling, whatever communicate that out. So this year, seniors only need 50 hours because they're grandfathered in. Juniors will need 100 hours by graduation, sophomores 150. Freshmen would need 200 hours. So it's an opportunity for everyone. And if they earn that 200 hours, they would, or in this case, seniors 50 hours this year, they get to wear a silver cord at our commencement ceremony at the end of this school year. So again, I think it's a great idea. A big shout out to Rachel Holden for coming up with this idea and presenting it to me. So I think we're moving in the right direction with just getting our kids out and about in our community a little bit more. Any questions about the program?
Sounds like a good addition. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Brings us to Ms. Zeman, and she'll speak on course proposals. Ms. Zeman, you have the floor.
All right. First, I would like to thank Mr. Bartelt and his staff for working so closely with me on the changes and the requests. And I wanted to give all of you an opportunity to ask any questions before you vote on these items as an action item later on in our meeting. But in short, I wanted to summarize that some of the course guide changes at the high school level, they are requesting to change the prerequisites for AP Literature and Composition and AP Language and Composition. High school is also requesting 2 changes to the grade levels in which cultural geography and military history are offered. And they would also like the board to consider changing the graduation requirements for social studies credits from 3.5 to 3 credits. As far as course additions, we are looking to change environmental science to an ecology course as a semester course instead of a year-long course. They would like to add a high school health science class focusing on health careers and a semester-long forensic science class. And at the middle school level, we would like to add a middle school data science elective. So there is quite a bit of information in your board packet about all of these courses, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to ask any questions.
Questions, board members?
If I could just real quick jump in, I don't mean to steal your thunder, Ms. Seaman. So
Go ahead.
the request with social studies to go from 3.5 to 3.0, that's just the state requirement is 3.0. And we're not changing our total credit requirements. That 0.5 would go to an elective. So students would still need 26 credits to graduate. Just again, providing more opportunities for students so they don't have to take a half credit their senior year. They're more than welcome to, and they probably will. Based off surveys, social studies are a very liked class by our students, but it will just give more opportunity for students. So that's kind of what my view is.
Thank you, Mr. Martel.
Any questions, board members? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Zeman. Brings us to Ms. Beacon, parent-teacher conferences and the Veterans Day program. You have the floor.
Hey, hi everybody.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. All right. Well, we've had a very busy month so far, and it's only half over in the elementary school. We finished one of our fall concerts last week, and we also, like the high school, had a Veterans Day program pre-K-8. We had 2 teachers really kind of take the reins on that. Destiny Falkenham, who also had a super busy week with her own for the concerts that she was doing, but she also wanted to be a part of the Veterans Day program, and also Sam Schuster really took the lead on that project as well. And it really turned out to be just an absolutely fabulous and beautiful day. Our students did such a great job of being respectful, and it was just, they made posters and they were really welcoming to the veterans. It was a really great program, and they did a really great job of singing songs, and the ladies did a really nice job with that. We also finished up parent-teacher conferences, and our teachers reported to me that they had a great turnout for parent-teacher conferences. I don't know if anyone had 100%, but almost all of them had at least, just a couple of parents who weren't able to come. And one of the comments that one of our teachers said about conferences that I thought was really good. She is one of our new teachers to the district. She said that conferences went really good. She said it was so empowering to be able to connect with families and share all the great things their child is doing. Parents were so proud of their children and all the hard work they have been doing. So she was also proud to share the good news, and she felt so great afterwards. So I think that was a really, that's what we love about parent-teacher conferences, and really building those strong parent-school partnerships. So we've had a busy month, but teachers are doing great.
Sounds good. Any questions for Ms. Beacon? Thank you, Holly.
All right, thanks, guys.
Brings us to Mrs. Gould in regards to Employee Assistance Program.
All right, so I just wanted to share one of the benefits that we offer our employees through Employee Assistance Program. It's EAP, we call it. It's a benefit through the standard, so all staff that have long-term disability or work at least a minimum of 20 hours a week are eligible for this. And I believe it's the last page in your booklet that has a little flyer for it. So some of the services that EAP can help with include depression, grief, loss, and emotional well-being, family, marital, and other relationship issues, life improvement and goal setting, addiction such as alcohol and drug abuse, stress or anxiety with work or family, financial and legal concerns, identity theft and fraud resolution, and online will preparation and other legal documents. So EAP will provide 3 counseling sessions per issue. It can be done in person, by phone, video, or text. EAP can be reached 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the assistance is immediate and confidential. So when the employees call, they do a brief intake questionnaire. If the employee is looking for counseling, the agent can give a referral. They can email some of the options they have, or they can set them up with online virtual counseling through BetterHelp. And EAP can even find a provider that works with the employee's insurance, so that if they decide to continue with the therapy and they like them, they can do that as well. So employees are provided with the flyer in their onboarding, and then we try to email it out to staff, or eligible staff, a couple times a year. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that benefit that we've been sharing. Any questions on it? Yeah.
How long has the district offered this benefit?
I believe quite a while. It's through the long-term disability, so yeah. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Brings us to Mr. Henning to speak on the board election and nursing grant.
Yep, it's we're done with one election and on to another one, so believe it or not, it's time to start thinking about the spring election. We have 3 members that terms are up for election again this spring, Kate, Karen, and Matt. The deadlines for non-candidacy are December 23rd, and the only reason I bring that up is because our office is closed that day, so if you are thinking about not running, if you could let us know by the 22nd, that would make our office people very happy, so they don't have to come in on their day off. But otherwise, the deadline for anyone that's wishing to run is in early January, January 3rd. And so those are the dates that people are probably most interested in. If there's a spring primary, that'll take place in early February, and then the first Tuesday in April is the election. So usually we have 2 seats up per spring, but this is the one rotation that has 3 seats up. So just want to get that information out to each of you. And if you have questions, let us know. Otherwise, the WASB is a good resource for all of that as well. I also want to congratulate Susan Gould and Sarah Borkert, our school nurse. They have been working on a nursing grant. The district was successful in being awarded a nursing grant that will help provide some more training for our nursing and some more hours for the school district to bolster our part-time position, whether that's during the school year here or during summer school. Just nice opportunity through CISA 2 to get some more nursing services. And it takes time and effort to chase those grants and those dollars, and oftentimes you don't get awarded them, but every so often you do, and as we all know, every dollar counts. So it's about $13,000 or $14,000, and it's got to all be used in this school year. But again, it'll be a nice bit of help for our school nurse.
Sounds great. Thank you, Susie and Nurse Borkert. That'll take us, unless anyone has any questions for Mr. Henning, that'll take us over to the approval of bills and vouchers. We have the treasurer's report and the listings of disbursements through October 31st. Typically, we take these in one motion to approve them both. Is there any questions that have not been answered prior to the meeting that you'd like to ask, or?
I so move for approval.
I'll second.
Okay, get a motion by Mr. Trave, seconded by Ms. Stangler, to approve both the treasurer's report and the disbursements. That'll be a roll call vote.
Stangler, yes?
Brave, yes.
Lewandowski, yes.
Cummings, yes.
And Schneider, yes. That motion will carry on a 5-0 vote. Brings us to legislative updates. Any legislative updates to share? Any board members or Mr. Henning?
Yeah, really, it's kind of a quiet time of year now following that November election. But what will happen next is, we're in a year of the next budget biennium, so we're already hearing rumors and inklings of what might be on the next work for the budget biennium. We just, in wake of not passing a referendum, we just really need everybody to contact their legislator and let them know in this next budget biennium that, schools are in need of help, and inflation is really the issue, and without any new revenue to address that, there's only going to continue to be more difficult decisions that need to be made. And so whether it's Democratic or Republican, we've got to let those people know that now's the time to do something.
Agreed. We have any announcements this evening? We will move to public input. I would first just ask if anyone would like to provide public input this evening. Yes? Okay. So as we have some public input, again, as we work under Robert's Rules of Orders for our meetings, technically govern public input, but the statements made that are your responsibility, etc., and the board will not participate in any sort of conversation, but is merely here to hear your voice and potentially deem that as new business moving forward. Prior to providing public input, we ask that you clearly state your name so we know who you are and can make record of that. So if we have someone to...
John, did you want to address the board?
No.
No? Oh, okay.
I just needed to,
Yeah. You're welcome to if you want.
Anyone who would like to address the board with public input, now is the time. All right. Hearing none, we will move into new business. Brings us to action item A, staff positions. In your packet, it is presented, there's quite a list. Looks like we have all of the winter sports on here. Any questions in regards to positions here? I have a question in regards to losing a food service person. Are we going to need to replace, or do we believe we're fine?
Well, I think if it was our preference, we would look to replace that position. But, we've gone many years without being able to find anybody for those positions, and that's our current situation again. So I think, unless something changes in the near future, we don't have anybody to consider, we'll try to get by with what we have.
Okay.
What does it mean under Gabe, Lynn, and Jessica Banks when it says split between three?
Very good question. So every once in a while, the coaches get together and they're interested in getting somebody new started on a coaching path, but yet there's really not a paid position for them to step into, especially given our low numbers in girls basketball. There's not a third position for coaching. So I don't believe it's 100% been decided yet, but Coach Haderkorn and Coach Dose, who would be paid positions, would like to kind of throw their checks together and then split them three ways with Jessica Danks, who's a brand new teacher and a brand new staff member and a brand new coach in our district to get her up and going.
Did she also help with volleyball?
She did.
That's
Yep.
what I thought. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and then volleyball, had a lot more numbers of
Right.
athletes, and so there was a paid position
Yeah.
for her, but to try to get her involved in basketball,
Yep.
those two senior veteran coaches are willing to kind of share.
Okay.
So as long as that's okay with the board. We have done that before.
Well, let me ask the question then, you said it wasn't final, which seems it will be, makes perfect sense. If it's not, then we only have 2 paid positions. for
Yeah, the
the-
only 2 paid positions are the varsity and JV, 2 coaches, even though we won't have a JV team.
Then we have 3 in the men's basketball or boys basketball, just due to larger numbers, we have 3 teams there.
Yeah, there's 26 kids out for boys basketball. Wrestling has really high numbers. They will have a girls wrestling team this year. They've had girls wrestlers before, but they're actually going to have a girls schedule, girls tournament. So that's exciting as well.
All right. Any other questions? If none, I would.
To approve the staff positions for
Okay.
co-curricular.
Got a motion by Ms. Stangler to approve as presented. Do we have a second?
Thanks for the second.
So I have a motion and a second on the floor to approve staff positions as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries on a 5-0 vote. Brings us to action item B, intermediate middle school curriculum and course guide. I will turn the floor over to you, Ms. Lindowski, to fill us in.
Yeah, I came a little late, but it sounded like they talked through the changes. When we met in committee, all 3 of us were very impressed by the proposals laid out in front of us. I think we asked a lot of questions, and they had satisfactory, awesome responses to all of them. So we all 3 of us that were there strongly recommend that we go ahead and approve the changes in both the middle school, intermediate middle school, and the high school course guide. They also talked a little bit about, I don't know if you talked about the plan, I think it's in our packets, for looking at each curriculum as we move forward for each grade level, and sort of like laying out that plan for the future to make sure that we're not missing any curriculums, that everyone's getting a chance to like look at if things are updated, if they need to be updated, and also to plan more vertically, right, 4K all the way through 12th grade, and look at how the curriculum aligns. So, yeah, we would recommend approval. Do you have anything to
Nope.
add?
Nope, loved all that.
All right. Well, then if there's no other questions or discussion, we just need a motion.
Cummings will make a motion to approve the intermediate middle school. And can I just bundle the high school into that?
You sure can.
Okay, and the high school curriculum course guide.
Okay?
I'll second.
So we're doing B and C together.
Yes,
Yep.
so before we go to vote, I would just ask if there's any discussion or questions on the high school course guide. Okay? Hearing none,
I'll second.
Ms. Lewandowski has seconded both as well, right? Both. Okay, so we're going to look to approve both action items B and C at the same vote here. Both the motions are on the floor by Ms. Cummings, both are seconded by Ms. Lewandowski to approve the intermediate middle school curriculum and course guide and high school curriculum and course guide as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on both lines on a 5-0 voice vote. Action item D, the district field trip plan. As stated in your board package, we had a little vacancy from the field trip planning as the pandemic, as we worked through that. But now we have some extra details in our packets, and I will let Mr. Henning give us any details.
Yeah, so this is the first time item D and item E have really ever come before the board. You know, we've always had field trips in the district, we've always had community engagement, but we've really spent a lot of time talking about, you know, what does it mean, you know, across the district to our students' experiences, you know, especially if they spend, you know, their entire career here from pre-K all the way through senior graduation, what does it mean and what kind of experiences do we want them to have? And so we've started mapping that and monitoring it more so that we can ensure those things that we think are important. Obviously, there's an infinite number of things you could do with kids, but given limited resources and limited time, what do we want to make sure we do with kids? And I think our teachers have done a nice job putting things together. It's a work in progress, but we wanted to share that with you tonight, and then just get your blessing on the work that people are going to be doing.
Any questions in regards to the field trip planning?
Yeah, I think this is awesome. It's so great that our students are going to get these opportunities, that you've thought about it all the way through. I guess my one noticing and question, also because I'm thinking about money, is that the 12th grade visit is to the State Capitol and Veterans Museum, and then also the high school Patriots Club is to the Veterans Museum and the State Capitol. And so just wondering if those trips for that club could be, so we're not doubling kids going to, not as a bad thing, but just cost-wise, same year, same trips.
Right. Yeah, Mr. Bartelt, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so for the Patriots Club, not all students get to go to the Capitol, so we can go to the senior trip. That's just like one of the options, because we usually do the UW-Madison tour. We just started it last year. And then we give options to students, and that's one of the options would be the State Capitol. So if you're a Patriots Club and a senior, you wouldn't have to go to the State Capitol. You could experience State Streets or a little bit more off campus with one of our staff members.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Any other questions?
I'll make the motion to approve the district field trips.
Okay.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Ms. Stangler, seconded by Ms. Lewandowski to approve the district field trip plan as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on a 5-0 voice vote. Brings us down to action item E, District Community and Family Engagement Plan. I guess I will, you've got additional information in your board packet, and I will let Mr. Henning.
Yeah, same thing here. There's, dozens, if not hundreds, of community and family engagement activities that take place throughout the year, but we want to start strategically tracking those more at each grade level, so that we know that when we engage our family and communities, that leads to higher achievement and better experiences for students and families being connected to the school. And so we're just more strategically tracking that and making sure that, at least one, if not many, meaningful events are taking place at each grade level. There's a few of these that are still a work in progress, but again, I think our staff has done a nice job of just thinking outside the box, and of course this is extra work outside the classroom in many cases, and so just stepping up to the plate and making sure that we're a well-rounded district when it comes to not only academics in the classroom, but also engaging communities and families.
Any questions? Hearing none, I look for a motion to.
I'll make the motion.
All right.
Who's the second?
Ms. Stangler has made the motion to approve the district community and family engagement plan. It's been seconded by Ms. Cummings. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries on a 5-0 vote. Brings us to discussion item F. The lockdown and school intruder practice, the date of November 22nd. This is more of just a notice that training is going to happen.
Yeah, just an FYI, because those always create some anxiety and discussions in the community, but we wanted to let you know that our practice this year will be on November 22nd. All students pre-K through 12 will participate. They'll be going through, mock intruder types of scenarios where they'll practice run, hide, fight, or ALICE, which is the alert, lockdown, inform, counter, evacuate. But they'll be barricading doors, fleeing the building, in some situations maybe practicing some counter measures. But if they do leave the building, then getting to a rendezvous point, and then talking about where the reunification site would be. So it's all practice for those things that we hope never happen, but have definitely become part of our world, and we want to be prepared for those. Some of the training and discussions leading up to that day look a little different, obviously, in the younger grades than they do the high school. The high school pretty much talk about it and practice the different scenarios. The elementary, they read stories and use some assimilation types of things with the students. So it's really done age appropriate, and the teachers do a nice job with the training.
Good to know. Is that just the Waterloo PD, or is there a county presence, or?
We'll alert the 911 center, but there's really not any county people on site.
Okay. All right, thank you. We will move to action item, or discussion item G rather, the building and grounds meeting. As we face the facts that our referendum did not pass, as stated here, we're going to have limited funding to address building maintenance concerns. So it's recommended that we just postpone the building and grounds committee meeting to the spring, so we can potentially look at summer maintenance items. I don't see any reason not to do that. Makes sense to me. Reality, we're going to have to deal with. Moving forward to discussion item H, policy committee meeting. We need to get something on the calendar. That committee is myself, I believe Mr. Craig, and Mrs. Hami, excuse me. So we will have to get something on the calendar. Can you refresh my memory, Brian? We currently use, there was another option as far as policy review.
Right now, we do not have a service for policy review. We were with the Wisconsin School Board Association for 3 years, but that has expired. There's really two options: the Wisconsin School Board Association or what's called Neola, which is an attorney-based firm. So if we want to continue with the service, we'll have to look at renewing something with one of those two.
Yeah, but we won't be able to renew anymore, so we'll have to pay the startup fees for, even if we go back with the first one, right?
WASB.
Yeah, because it's been a year, almost a year.
Yeah, that could be true.
Yeah,
I'd have
so
to
we're
ask
gonna have to
this
pay
question.
startup fees for whichever one we decide to go with if we go that route.
Well, when it pertains to policy and making sure it's updated, we would certainly want to bear the cost of having an attorney review it. If there was anything that verified, it should be our policy. So we will get something. I'll send correspondence to get some dates. Do you believe you would have time prior to Christmas season?
Yeah.
We'll get through Thanksgiving? Okay. All right, we will move to discussion item I, the operating referendum.
Here.
Go ahead.
How are we gonna do that? You just wanna have you, Mr. Henning, send out 4 or 5 dates and?
Yeah, I can send out some dates, or if you guys want to send out some dates, I can check my calendar.
Otherwise, I'll
Whatever's
just send
easiest.
an email. Works for you. as you
Okay.
said.
Sure.
Then we can fill everyone else.
Yeah, if you wanna start it out, that's fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the operating referendum, the administration is going to share their thoughts on the failed operating referendum. By all means, you have the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's aware of the unfortunate side of that. We obviously were all hoping that the community would support that, but that was not the case. And so, I think really the big decision now is, where do we go from here? And there's some obvious choices, right? You could certainly rethink your strategy and ask again. You can, start making the cuts so that we get back within budget. You do have, a little bit of fund balance. You probably can hold off for a little bit, but the inevitable is probably coming. And so, really, Susie and I had a list of things, just in case we did get to this point that we could start bringing in front of you for consideration. I can tell you that that's not going to be a pleasant experience, and it's not gonna be good for kids. But nonetheless, we need to know from you, what you want the next step to be. We probably, if you're going to start looking at where to make cuts, that's probably a special meeting. Tough to do that in a regular school board meeting when we have all the other business items going on. But we certainly can start preparing you for that as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
if
reality.
if we are gonna try a referendum again, when do we have to have that in by?
Well, that's an interesting question. I did put in your packet when the next available times are, which coincide with general elections, of course. So you would have a chance again in April, but you'd need to have that ballot language finalized by January already.
That's, that's
So
what I'm
that
saying.
basically gives you six to 7 weeks of time to prepare for that. Because then there's no general election in the fall of 2023, and then you're back to 2024 spring and fall elections.
That's what I'm saying, so it's gonna be a while, so
Right.
there's not just a couple cuts that we're gonna have to make, because now this is not only April, if we don't do it, then we have the whole full next year that we can't do it,
Right.
so.
Yeah, because in order to get out in front of the tax levy, you'd have to have it done by the fall. Yeah, exactly.
So do you think we can do that in 7 weeks?
I think it would be hard, but it can be done. Yeah.
So maybe if we went for, say, 3 years at a little bit lesser, just to, give you guys what you need, at least for the first couple of years, and see, maybe the government will kick some money in, or,
Yeah.
something like that. Is that a workable?
Yeah, it would be interesting to hear from each of you on what you've heard. Some of, I think, the question becomes is, why didn't it pass, right? There's the obvious reasons. People don't want to pay more money. It's the economy, the inflation, the obvious ones. But, Waterloo has a pretty good history of supporting the district and what the district has asked for. It's not certainly been automatic in any way, shape, or form, but so getting to the root of what people's hesitations were, I think helps you decide where you go next, right? Because if you don't change anything, or if you maybe change the dollars and the years a little bit, is that enough to address people's concerns to change the outcome in April? Because if it's not, then you're probably just wasting your time again, right? So yeah, we've talked about doing a survey, and we started gathering some information on what it would cost and what kind of the process would look like to do a survey. But again, 6 or 7 weeks is pretty tight to get that out and back, and then have you look at it, then make a decision and be done with it. So
It seems to me that the reason that it failed was exactly what you noted. People are afraid of, they're fighting inflation in their own pocketbooks, in their own homes. They don't know if they can afford to give anymore, but maybe if we make it a little less painful for a little less long, but I would think we would want to take that chance, because you really do need at least most of what we asked for. Maybe you could get by with a little bit less if we have to, but to wait now, what would you have to wait 2 years then before you can?
Yeah.
Basically,
And
yeah.
we don't have that much.
And maybe they didn't, a lot of, too, with like the inflation, and then I think on top of that, I think it was the fact that it didn't, a lot of older people came to me and said it was the fact that they didn't feel it was a need. Like, we didn't really need it, because they didn't hear the, now we're sitting here saying we're gonna have to make cuts, and we're gonna have to do that, and I know we didn't want to go there, but I think we now need to go there and say, this is what's gonna be cut, this is what's gonna happen, this is the outcome if it does not get passed again. I mean, cause that was my, people reached out to me and said, this is why I didn't vote. And that was the takeaway, was that it was not a need, per se. And in our eyes, it was a need, obviously. We knew what would happen, but maybe because they felt they didn't know. So, because I don't want things to be cut. I don't want to lose what's happening right now in our school, because it's very good stuff and everything is going really well, you know, and I don't want to have to do that. Then, yeah, so I don't know.
And it really didn't really lose by that much. If 50 people would have put their vote.
Wasn't it 150 or was it 100?
107 was the official number.
Yeah, so
Voted no, now you
if
vote yes.
55 of those
Correct.
people would have voted yes
Yeah.
instead of no, we would have won. It would have passed. You got 55 less no's and 55 more yeses, it would have passed.
Or is it, yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I think we should take the first step and get a special meeting scheduled as soon as we can.
Like ASAP.
Yeah,
Because if
like
we got to move
ASAP.
forward, like to figure out if we're doing a referendum, we only have 6 or 7 weeks. That's
Especially if
that's a
after,
lot of work.
after we have that meeting, there may be more things, information we need to gather or things we need to think about.
Right.
So I think honestly, we should probably schedule 2 meetings because everyone's getting really busy.
With the holiday.
And I'd like to have them on the calendar.
Great.
No, we have to address it one way or the other. It's decision time. The people that voted, we have to make some decisions. So, yeah, for a meeting to address this.
Good. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, we don't have anything to lose at this point, right? We've already lost our first go-around, so the true people who are gonna lose are the students and the employees of the district, so. Yes, I mean, by all means, we can have a special meeting, but if you ask me today, I would say yes, why wouldn't we try it? I know it's a short deadline, and I know it's a big burden on your behalfs, but
Yeah,
I
let
don't
us
think
know.
we
I mean, I
stop.
am willing to help wherever you guys need. Like, I know it's a lot of work, so.
Yeah, so I think, I think what you said was very powerful, Sarah. So what do we do differently this time to let people know that we are serious?
Like, I mean, we pretty much have to say, like, when we have our special meeting and we talk about what we will have to cut, we put it out there. Well, I mean, we gotta just be an open book right now and just say, if this referendum, because we have to go for another referendum, it did not pass, this is what is going to be affected. And I mean, point blank, just put it out there. I know it doesn't give you good juju, but at the same point, it's like, we're gonna be doing it if it doesn't get passed. So I might, and I think, to Karen's point, I think it is a good idea. Maybe we do go for 3 years, and I don't know the amount, but maybe we do it a little bit less. Say we're trying to come up with a compromise of what is good for the people that are being affected by inflation, but we want to save our good teachers, we want to save our extracurricular activities, whatever it is. So maybe like a brochure, like boom, 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 cut and dry, but to everybody, to all the community. Because like I said, I didn't hear that the teachers didn't do it or the families didn't pass it. It was the that don't have kids in our district anymore is who I have heard from, so, yeah. So, do we wanna get something on the calendar?
Yeah, by all means.
Well, Thanksgiving is next week. I mean, do we wanna try for
28th.
November, or do we wanna try for November 21st, like even next Monday? And then put something on the calendar for November 28th to give a little bit of time for, you know, the paperwork to get in, the approvals, figure out our next steps. I don't know, I can do whatever.
I'm out of town on the 21st. Doesn't mean you can't have a meeting, but I would not be available.
Yeah, I wouldn't be available till later on the 21st, so that's not great.
So do we wanna try for the 28th?
I should have availability on the 28th.
It's a
Monday.
Monday.
2 weeks.
Okay, and then do we wanna look at the next week?
Yeah.
Like,
You care if we go without you?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Susie wouldn't be available, but she said she didn't care if we proceeded without her.
okay,
On the 28th. Sure.
do we wanna try then for the 5th of December? Like the next week, like do back-to-back meetings, or? Because our
Remember,
next,
your standard meeting is the 12th, right?
Right.
it's not on our calendar. It's January, but yeah. Do we wanna wait that long? Cause then on the 12th, we could make the approvals for maybe some of the paperwork that we'll need to in the standard.
Yeah, I think our January meeting was in front of the deadline, right?
I wanna say the deadline was the 23rd.
Yeah, so our January meeting is the 9th. So we would still have time to approve something at the 9th, on the 9th, to be in front of the deadline of the 23rd.
Okay. So then just keep the regular December 12th, and then if we need to make a special meeting after that, we could always do that before January's meeting, January 9th meeting, okay. Okay,
Yeah, so again, the question, I think where the work involved ends up is making that list of what would get cut, right?
Which is what we need to do, which is what the meeting on the 28th is for, is to make that list.
that special meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I'll come committed to getting it done that night, but I'm thinking that's gonna be an awful difficult task. $500,000 is gonna gut this district more than I've ever seen a district gutted, so.
Okay.
So do we wanna meet, so you're saying we need to.
I mean, we can't just
Yeah.
turn the temperature
Okay.
down, we can't just,
Okay.
we're gonna be talking whole programs and
Yep, staffing.
double-digit staff numbers.
Okay, so do we wanna put two
Also,
on there then?
would it
We
be
wanna-
like a Monday, Tuesday, or Monday, Wednesday, or something like another that week to continue the conversation? Is that what
It
you're-
wouldn't hurt to, I mean, let's be optimistic and say we're gonna get it done in one night, but it wouldn't hurt to put a second meeting on the calendar.
Right, that's what I was saying earlier, because everyone's schedule's so busy, I think we should have two on the calendar.
We wanna just do one for the following Monday, like November 28th, then December 5th. And then our following December 12th will be so it's
So
gonna
you got
be,
3 in a row.
it's gonna be a ton, but at least we can maybe get it figured out by then. And we can always cancel the December 5th one if we do
Right,
make.
yeah,
work.
best case you don't need it, but.
I can do them.
Whatever we gotta do, we gotta do.
Yep.
So then the question becomes, it's a little bit of a fine line, but if you're just talking about cutting positions for budgetary reasons, that's not necessarily a closed session meeting. But if you're talking about performance-based decisions, which is certainly within your right to do, then that does become a closed session.
So we're
I would-
not talking about that, are we?
Well, I mean,
Well, I guess I'm just gonna say this for frame of reference. I'm just tossing it out. Nobody should read anything into this. But if you've got 3 first grade teachers and you want to eliminate a first grade teacher and you want to keep your strongest 2,
you wanna talk about performance and,
that's a closed session discussion. If you're just talking about eliminating one and we're gonna throw names in the hat and pick one, then that's not a closed session.
So can I ask a clarifying question? So it would, well, maybe it's a statement, you can tell me if I'm assuming this correctly. So it may be beneficial to talk which, whatever grade you use, 3rd grade teacher or whatever, because salaries are different among different teachers. Is that why we would want to talk a specific teacher rather than
That could
just
be-
in general cutting a position?
Yeah, that could be another factor also is,
yeah.
yeah, salaries wouldn't necessarily be a closed session qualification though.
It's public record.
Right, that's public record. So if we had 3 teachers, one making 10,000, one making 20,000, one making 30,000, that can be talked about in open session.
So what, I guess, and I'm having a hard time understanding why we wouldn't just say, like, we have 3 positions at 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 3rd grade, and because of budget, we have to cut 1 position from each to go down to 2 teachers at each grade level. Why would we need to be in closed session to talk about who?
You wouldn't necessarily have to. I'm just asking if you want to be, because sometimes performance-based decisions play into those factors.
I don't know about November 28th, but because I think November 28th, we're wanting to get a list together of what could be cut, right? Is that what we were gonna potentially talk about? And so I'm not sure, would we want to have that as a closed session, because do we really want it to be out yet?
Well, if it's an open session, the newspaper's gonna be sitting there, so.
I know,
It's
yeah,
again, it's
That's
gonna
her job.
be,
yep,
it's an extremely sensitive
Yeah.
I know, and that's why I
discussion,
think it
and our
needs to be,
our district's not that big.
I
It's
think
not
it
too hard
needs to
figure
be
things out,
closed.
So,
Yeah, this is not, a very fun discussion. I just wanna make sure everybody understands everything, and I don't have any answers for you, but I just wanna make sure everybody's on the same page. So when we start having those discussions and we start naming the programs, if I'm sitting there and my name is in one of those cuts, I'm not waiting around till April to see if I'm gonna have a job next year.
but that's, yeah. I
So,
think it should
so
be
that's the unfortunate part about this is the districts, let's just say we pass a referendum in April, the district's gonna have already lost people before that even happens.
Correct,
It's just how bad it's gonna happen, right?
right.
So, we have to, it's not gonna be easy, but we're gonna have to try to be as sensitive as possible and
Right, and then, yeah. So maybe, let's start with the November 28th one being closed, because it's gonna be sensitive information. Can we do that?
Why don't we go over our list and we'll figure out
Okay,
what's gonna be on that list and if it would be appropriate to
Okay.
have some things in open and something in closed.
okay.
Right.
Okay.
so to just kind of sum it all up, so we are penciled in for the 28th at this point? November 28th at 6:30, regular time?
Yep.
And do we want to put something on the board for the 5th as well?
I think we should.
Yeah, I think we should.
We'll just keep it simple and it'll be at 6:30 as well?
Yep.
And then you have your regular meeting on the 12th.
Yep.
That's 3 weeks in a row.
You get to see us 3 weeks in
Well,
a
if
row.
we get everything figured out on the 28th, we
Yeah.
can cancel.
Yep.
Very true. Very true.
Brian's coming committed,
If
so
we make
we,
those nearly impossible decisions
yep.
all in one night.
All right. So there you have it. Please schedule accordingly. We voted to remove the closed session from this evening on the agenda. That brings us down to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Cummins will make a motion.
Crave a second.
All right, we've got a motion to adjourn by Ms. Cummings, seconded by Mr. Crave. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries on a 5-0 vote at 7:30 p.m.
Kate, before you leave, we gotta get your signature on those election results.
I signed,
Yeah.
I signed
Yep,
one.
I got it.
Yeah, you do. Go send your.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.